Welcome to the fairest show on television, first tonight, and in a way we are sad to report this. Not all stories have a happy ending. Sometime tonight, the Navy's Flyaway Deep Ocean Salvage System will arrive in Newfoundland, Canada, except it doesn't have anything to salvage. Search teams haven't located the Titanic tourist submersible, likely 2+ miles down on the ocean floor. The sub is the size of a very small car, and the search area is roughly the size of the state of Connecticut. To put things in perspective, at best, right now, rescuers have 35 hours to find a penny in an area the size of 60 football fields. As you look at your clock, the 5 people on board have now been missing underwater without contact for more than 2 days and 12 hours. Normally, this is the moment we would show you live pictures of the search area or the search operation. We don't have that. Nobody does. It is too far away. The closest we have is buoy cameras hundreds of miles from Boston and still hundreds of miles from the search area. Somewhere under that water in the North Atlantic is the steel tube the size of a minivan. As I said, somewhere. You have to take a minute as we think about this story, and there's lots of parts to talk about it, to realize what's happening. Because if the 5 people on the sub are still alive, if the ocean's pressure at 13,000 feet hasn't crushed the hull and killed them, as we speak right now, 5 people are at the bottom of the ocean. They have less than 35 hours of oxygen. Of course, the more nervous they are, the more their heart beats fast, the more their hands perspire, the faster they breathe. They know what's happening. They've been underwater now for 2 days and 12 hours. The more nervous they get, the more they realize what's coming, the quicker they use the oxygen. If rescuers don't reach them in time, their death from carbon dioxide poisoning will be awful, akin to drowning, but much longer. That said, we have to be honest about the decision they made. They voluntarily got into what at best would be called a makeshift metal tube with no seats to go to one of the most uninhabitable places that we can possibly know about in the world. In many ways, 13,000 feet underwater is more dangerous than space. And it is all operated, this submarine that they chose to get on, is all operated by a Logitech PC controller. We looked. They cost $30 on eBay. The very questionable design, engineering, and manufacturing of the Titan wasn't a secret. In fact, CBS did an entire story on it.
I couldn't help noticing how many pieces of this sub seemed improvised.
We can use these off-the-shelf components.
I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on!
In fact, some of the 5 paid $250,000 for the opportunity to get on the sub. In 2018, OceanGate reportedly fired at least one worker for raising safety concerns, and the company refused to allow independent testing of the Titan. Reading between the lines, the Coast Guard, at least, who understands all of this and has multiple planes out there searching for this submarine, isn't optimistic.
We will do everything in our power to effect a rescue. Again, it's going to depend on if the ROV finds something. It's going to depend on what they find, what needs to be, what steps need to be taken next, and really that is for the experts within the Unified Command to take a look at and then decide what the best course of action is.
In other words, even if they find the submarine, there is far from a guarantee that they will be able to retrieve it or retrieve it in time before the oxygen runs out. Retired astronaut Colonel Terry Virts is with us. He's friends with Hamish Harding, who's aboard the sub. Chris Lemons was once trapped underwater in a similar situation. David Marquet, former Navy submarine captain, with us now. David, we start with you. Yesterday, you painted a pretty grim picture, I think a realistic one, but you didn't leave a lot of room for hope. Is there anything you've seen in the past 24 hours to make things better?
Not really. We know there is a ship there that has remotely operated vehicles, which is now, it seems like those are going down and searching underwater. Before we only were searching on the surface, then we were started to listen underwater, and now it looks like we're starting to search underwater. I fear that the submarine is on the bottom and it's quiet, which means it's going to look like a pile of rocks, like a lot of the other stuff down there. So it's going to be very, very difficult to find.
Yeah, the penny on 60 football fields with limited time. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.